Hello class, welcome to another lesson. Today's learning goal is I can solve percent problems using a proportion. So let's go ahead and get started. A proportion, as you guys know, is two ratios that are equal to each other. And here we have something called a percent proportion, where the bottom part always represents the 100%. Okay, so this is 100% right here. Percents are on the right, and the actual numbers that represent them are on the left. So the 100%, what number represents 100% goes here. And then part, okay, and the percent. So if something says 85% of something, that 85% goes here, and then that something goes here. Okay, so this number right here represents 85% in that case. Sometimes you can it's said that it is over of. Okay, so for example, what is 80% of 90? Okay, so this is the percent, 80%. So we're going to let's first start by solving it using the equation. Okay, 80% of 90. To solve that, we would do change this into a decimal, which is 0.8, and then multiply that by 90, because of tells us to multiply it by 90. So 0.8 times 90 equals 72. To solve it using percent proportion, 80% would go on the top right here. Okay, of 90, of is the entire part. Okay, so in this 90 is the 100%. That's the whole part. Okay, so the whole part is the number with the word of, and that's the bottom part right here. And what we're looking for is the part. We're looking for what is 80% of 90. Okay, so to do that, we set it up this way. This is the part, this is the whole, and the whole is always 100%, and we're looking for 80%. Okay. What we can do with this, okay, we can always multiply this by 10 over 9, okay, and then multiply and then divide 80 by 10 over 9 to figure this out. Okay, and that's how we've been typically doing proportions. What I'm going to show you guys today is what we can do is also multiply, cross multiply. Okay, and what this is that this multiplied by that, let's give that an actual color that we can actually see. Let's see here. Those two parts multiplied together, and these two parts, again, let's change that to color, something we can see. Let's see here, let's go with red. Those two parts multiplied together can form an equation. Okay, that is 100x times 80 times 90 is 7,200. Okay. This is cross multiplication works, and we'll talk about why this works later on inside the year. But we're going to multiply both sides by cross multiplying and then forming the 100x over here, or 100 times x, as you know, and 90 times 80 is 7,200. And then to solve this, what we would do is divide both sides by 100. Okay, and this will give us that part, that x right here. Okay, if we divide both sides by 100, what we find is that x is 72. Okay, just like we found over here. Okay. So there's two separate ways that we can do this. We can do this with the equation, the proportional equation, as you guys know, or the actually set up the proportion over here. Okay. So, what is 40% of 25? Okay. Let's try this with the proportion first. So 40%, what is 40% of 25? So 25 is our whole, so that's going to go right here. And then 40%, we're looking for 40%, which is up here. And then we're going to look for the part, okay? This part right here. So we set it up like this. Okay. And again, we're going to cross multiply these two parts, and what we get when we do that, if it'll show, there we go, actually showed both of them, is 100x equals 1,000, because 25 times 40 is 1,000, and then we divide both sides by 100. Oops, divided by 100, and we find that x, or the part, is 10. And if we can check ourselves with the percent equation, okay, we're looking for 40% of 25. 25 is the 100%. So therefore, what we do is 0.4, because we change this into a decimal, times 25. And if we do that, we find that it equals 10 as well. This is a slightly different question. 85 is 15% of what? Round your answer to the nearest whole number. So 85 is 15%. So what we're saying is that 85 is the part, and it is 15%. We're looking for the whole, because where it says of, of what? Okay, we don't know what that is, so we're going to replace that with an x. Okay, we're going to replace that with x. Okay, so using percent proportion, again, we did part over whole. We don't know what the whole is because it says of what. And as we know that the word of indicates the whole part of it. Okay. So what's next right here? And 15%. So 15% is the same thing as 95%. And again, we will do cross multiplication. When we do that, we get 15x equals 95 times 100 is 9,500. And then divide both sides by 15 now, okay? Because we're trying to get x by itself. Divide by 15. And what we find out is that x, when rounded to the nearest whole number, is 633. Now, actuality is 633.3 repeating, but we're rounding it to the closest whole number. Here, if we were to solve it with percent equation, we know that 95 is our final part because we're multiplying 15 by some unknown whole number, whatever 100% of it is. And so we set it up as 0.15 times x, or x times 0.15. And what we do is we divide both sides by 0.15 to get x by itself. Okay. And the result is x is 633. Okay. Let's try some word problems with it. Harriet got 102 out of 120 possible points on our quiz. What percent did she get on her quiz? Percent equation. We know that 120 times the percentage gets her 102. Okay. So let's solve it with this first. In order to find out what that percent is, we're going to divide both sides by 120. To get p by itself, because that's the percentage that we're looking for. And we find out is that p equals 0.85, which is 85%. To set this up with a proportion, the 102 is the part, and this is the whole, 120. And we're looking for what percent this is, because she got 102 out of 20. So we have 102 over 120 equals p over 100, because we're looking for that percent. As a result, we're going to cross multiply. You could always divide this or multiply this by 100 over 120. You can always do that, and then multiply this by 100 over 120. That's perfectly fine. But we're just going to do it this time using this way. And as a result, oops, we get, this is wrong. No, this is right. 120p equals 102,000. And then we're going to divide both sides by 120. Divided by 120. And we get 85 as our final answer, so it's 85%. Notice that our final answer in the equation, when we're dealing with percentages, when we're looking for percentage, gets us the decimal of the percent. And when we're dealing with proportions, we get the actual percentage as a number. Okay, so just be aware of that we get the decimal here, okay, which we have to convert into percentage when we're using the equation. With the percent proportion, we don't have to do that because this part right here, this divided by 100, takes care of that for us. We don't have to do that, so this right here is our final answer, 85. A poll was conducted by a local newspaper asking if the governor is doing a good job. 6,000 people were polled. If 2,400 people said they approved of the job the governor was doing, what percent of the people did not say they approved of the job the governor is doing? And I meant to not include this right here, but let's go for it anyways. In order to figure out how many people did not say they approved of the governor's job, we have to find out the difference between the people that were polled and the people that said they approved of the job. And when we do that, we go 6,000 minus 2,400, so 3,600 people did not approve of the job the governor was doing. Okay. So we need to figure out what this is as a percentage. Okay, so this is our part. 6,000 is our whole. Let's start with the percent equation. Okay. We know that 6,000 times some percent gets us 3,600. So that's how we set it up. We're looking for that percentage right there. And so in order to solve this, again, we're going to divide by 6,000 on both sides. 6,000. Okay. And when we do that, we find that P as a decimal is 0.6, which means that 60% of the people did not think the governor was doing a good job. To set up the percent proportion, this is our part, this is our whole, and we're looking for the percent. So we set it up like this. 3,600 over 6,000 equals P over 100. Cross multiply. We get that P times 6,000 right here equals 360,000. And again, we're going to divide both sides by the number next to P. We're going to divide by 6,000. As a result, we find that P equals 60%. Okay. Notice that these two parts right here on both sections, 6,000 times P equals 3,600 is very similar to 6,000 P equals 360,000. Okay. That's because they come across as the same way. This is essentially the same step as this one, except that this has two more zeros here. Or excuse me, this has two more zeros here, which gets us the 60% with beyond and not the 0.6 decimal. Okay, so either way gets you to the same spot if you use percent equation or percent proportion, just written slightly differently. Judy wanted to buy a dress for her school dance. She found a dress that was $65.50. She also had a coupon for an additional 15% off. How much will the dress cost after the discount, round to the nearest penny? Go ahead and try this one out on your own. So our final answer should be just a little bit less than $65.50 because it's only a 15% discount. So we know that we're paying 85%. So 85% of this is what we're looking for since we're paying for 85%. So we go 0.8 times or 85 times 60.50 gets us C, which is the cost. And when we do that, we find that C is $55.68. Proportion-wise, this is 100%. Okay, we're looking for the part. Okay, and we're still looking for 85%. So we have to be very aware that we need to set up with 85%, not 15%. So the cost over the total amount originally equals 85% over 100%. Again, we're going to do the cross multiplication. Let's do red just to keep it consistent. And then we're going to do cross multiplication and red because we like to keep things consistent. And as a result, we get 100C equals 5,560.5. Divide both sides by 100, as we know. Divide by 100. And when we do that, we move the decimal place over twice, which gets us our final answer of C being $55.68 when rounded to the nearest whole number. Caden made 85% or 85 shots during the season. Overall, he had 43.59% of his shots. How many shots did he take during the season? Round your answer to the nearest whole number. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one out on your own. So percent equation, we know that some number, the number that he had overall, shots that he took overall, times 0.4359, because that's 43.59%, gets us 85. So we set it up as S, being the total number of shots that he took, times 0.4359 equals 85.5, and we're going to divide both sides by 0.4359. If my computer will let me. Again, divided by 0.4359. As a result, what we get is S equals 195 shots. To set up the proportion, 85 is the part. This is our percent. We're looking for 100% of his shots right here. So we cross multiply and then divide by 43.59 on both sides. As a result, what we get is 195 shots. Our last example is a meal before tax and tip was $50.50. There was a 6% tax and a 20% tip. How much money was the meal after tax and tip? Solve using proportions. Round your final answers to the nearest cent. Okay. Notice how this is going to take two parts. Okay, the tax and then the tip. Okay, and remember that this is not the same thing as 26% increase. Okay, you have to do the tax, and once you find out how much the cost is after tax, you make that your new 100% and then solve it by adding 20% on. Okay, go ahead and try that one out on your own. To add the tax, okay, what we need to do is add 6% to it, so that means we're looking for 106%. So we're going to set it up as our part. Okay, this is our new amount that we're looking for. This is 100% of the original cost, and again we're going to cross multiply x times 100, 50.5 times 106, and what we get is 100x equals 5,353. Divide both sides by 100, we get 53.53. So this is the cost after just the tax. This is the increase of 6%. This 53.53, in order to add 20% of it, so for our tip, what we do is we make this our new 100%, and we're looking for the 20% tip. So the total cost is going to be 120% of the original, and this is our new original. So we have after tax, we got taxed amount, or the amount after tax, over 53.53, which is our 100%, and we're looking for 120%. Cross multiply, 100t equals 53.53, and 120 times those two together, we get 6423.6, or 6,423.6. I can talk. And then we divide both sides by 100 and round it to the nearest cent. It's 64.24.